Hello everyone, my name is Dennis Ortiz and I'm here with Cooking with Love. Today we're going to make a wonderful tasting quiche dish that includes chopped chives, white onions, white button mushrooms, and wonderful creamy brie cheese, along with some cream that I previously made. It has basil in it, a little bit of half and half, butter, and some shallots. So first we're going to mix the pre-made sauce that I made with half and half, and we're gonna add about 4 eggs to it. I already have a bowl here, so we're gonna add it right here. Then we're gonna add 4 eggs and whisk it. Nowadays, there's a variety of different eggs. There's farm raised, pasture raised. We like to go with something that's farm raised and free range chickens usually. And you know, if you are in a budget friendly right now, you can always find eggs for about $1.50, $2 a dozen. So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna turn on our stove top while we whisk our eggs, and we're gonna throw our onions and mushrooms on the pan once it gets hot. The pie crust that we're going to use today is from Trader Joe's, as well as olive oil spray that I'm going to use on our pan just so that our onions and mushrooms can sweat as well. Just enough to cover the bottom of the pan. I'd say medium high. I'm not a fan of electric stoves. I prefer fire, but this has been working miraculously and wonderful for me. So we'll throw our onions and our mushrooms on there that have been pre-cut. You can always buy them cut already, but I like to cut my vegetables myself. So now we're gonna whisk our egg mixture while that cooks off. As we continue to whisk our eggs, we see that it gets nice and thick. I also added some diced butternut squash that I made yesterday and I had left over. You can never have enough veggies on a quiche. They taste wonderful once you add them, and they cook up and bake up really nicely. And now we'll add our chives as well, just to give it a nice little earthy flavor. Have a little bit left in there of that cream. Once it's nice and blended, we'll just set this aside. And in the meantime, we have to pre-bake our crust. I like to pre-bake it just so that it doesn't taste raw, and it does give a nice crust when you finish your quiche. So I already had my oven at 350 degrees preheated. Now I'm gonna chop up my brie cheese. I personally don't like using the crust of it, but some people do. But in this case, we're gonna cut the crust off or use a real minimum amount of it. So I'll move my display veggies aside here for a second. And I'll get another cutting board.
Habla.
So we're gonna start cutting the edges off of our cheese ever so lightly, where we're not taking off too much of the cheese off. I like a little bit of both, a little bit of the brie crust, and yet again, not too much. So I'll probably chop up one end lightly, as you can still see like a little haze of the crust, but not completely take it off. Do the same thing to the other one. And we'll just leave, okay. We'll take a little bit off of this end here. Okay, and we are ready to chop up this cheese. And we're just gonna do a rough chop on the cheese since it's gonna melt on its own once we include it in the mix. We're gonna have to check our crust in a second to see how it's going. We don't wanna fully cook it. We just wanna, you know, start it off so it's not as moist or you know, undercooked when our quiche is ready. So we have our cheese already cut. Let's taste it. Really good. I'll tell you guys, can't wait till you folks try this quiche. It's gonna be wonderful. So now we add our cheese. in there. This is the time where we season. The cheese also has natural salt, so let's keep that in mind. We're not going to add too much salt to our quiche mix. We'll grab a little bit of fresh ground pepper and a little bit of salt. Also Trader Joe's. The great thing about these, you can always refill them. Buy a big bag of peppercorns and it opens up really easily and you can always refill it. Same thing with the salt. Himalayan pink salt, by the way, is one of the best products. I love using it. It is less processed and a little goes a long way when you use Himalayan pink salt. And nothing better than freshly ground pepper. A little goes a long way, so let's keep it light when it comes to sodium. Mix that up a little bit. We can smell and hear our onions and mushrooms cooking. So this is when we come back, we'll start moving it around. We want them to sweat and get a little translucent. Let's keep in mind that these vegetables are gonna flavor our quiche as well. Everything is looking and smelling wonderful. I wish you guys were here to take a whiff of these wonderful onions and mushrooms. You know, and dealing with the pandemic that's happening now, you know, we have to make the best of it when it comes to cooking. Can you smell that, guys? Wow, look at that. So, you know, like I said, we have to make the best of it when it comes to cooking now. So I decided to get a little more creative in the kitchen. Go open some old dusty books that I had. Go back to my old recipes, and I hope that you guys enjoy this. Our pie is almost ready to come out. We're gonna add our egg mixture and our sauteed veggies, which have sweated enough. I don't like to overcook them. I let the oven finish them off. But they do look great, honestly. So we're back. Our onions and mushrooms are already cooked off a bit. We're gonna add them to our pie crust, to our quiche crust, that is, and spread them out real nice. Get this dish out of the way. Pound them down a little bit. And now we're gonna add our egg and chive and heavy cream with cheese mixture over it. It might go a little over, but this is the time where we want to move everything around. Make sure that everything gets nice and mixed in there. And you might have a little bit left. I suggest you make an omelet with it. It's always going to be delicious. We'll get those extra pieces of butternut squash out there because it's going to be delicious. Once you see them popping out of the quiche, they will taste delectable. I promise you guys. So now we already have our preheated oven. We're gonna add our quiche in there carefully and let it cook down. I'd say about 45 minutes at 350 degrees, and soon you shall see magic. Too bad we don't have the magic of television as we are starting, and this is my first video, but the end product will be delicious, I promise you guys.
Hey.
Hi guys, I'm back and our quiche is just about ready. We've been cooking it for about 45 minutes. Wow, the colors are just delectable.